Hello again and welcome back to the Tuition Centre. Owen O'Leary here with Andrea Foley, and we're going to go through a few of the queries the students have emailed us with in regards to the marking of the paper. So, why we're doing this webcast is, of course, we realise that naturally you're not experienced in the correcting of the Leaving Cert exams, and naturally there's going to be places where you're not sure is it high partial credit or low partial credit for a particular part. So we said we wait to see what ones you were emailing us in with, and we decided we go through those with you. So I'll hand you over to Andrea, and Andrea, you'll tell us what parts that you'd like us to start with.
I will, yeah. So we're going to start off with question 6b. We had a query about 6b, so if we could have a look at that, please.
Yeah, no problem. Six B. So I'm just flicking through 6A. Here we go. 6B. Okay, the function G. Yeah.
Okay, so it's talking about the range of the function. So as you can see on the PowerPoint and in the scheme, if you have -9 less than or equal to g of x less than or equal to 4, then that would be your full credit. In the scheme, it also has square brackets around -9, 4, and that gives you full credit. This is just to let you know if those brackets are round, you can also have full credit. So if you had round brackets and -9, 4, it's full credit there on 6b.
Okay. And what if they just out of interest? What if they just -9.4? Is that okay as well?
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So just as long as they have the two figures and they're indicating it's the range between them. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Andrea. Where are we off to next?
7b part 1, please.
Okay. So 7B part 1. Okay, this just takes us a moment to flick through our question here with Marcus and the stage. And we're heading into 7B part 1, which I believe is about the water bowl. Okay, here we go. So,
okay, so
Marcus,
on this one, we were looking at subbing into your differential. So you were differentiating and you were subbing in 0.1. So actually on this note, I said low partial credit was any correct differential, but you can also have low partial credit here for subbing in 0.1 into an incorrect differential. So if you have made a mistake on the differentiating, but you have tried to differentiate, you've come up with something, and you sub in 0.1 into that, you can also have low partial credit there for 4 marks.
Okay, so if the student differentiates in any way and they do a correct substitution, so they see that 0.1 should be going in for H somewhere, they're getting low partial credit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and let me ask, I imagine a lot of people did this as the product rule, U and V, is that correct?
Yeah, and that is covered in the scheme.
Yeah. Okay, perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, so that's 7B part 1.
We're on 7b part 2 now, please.
Okay, perfect. We can get to that one easy. Okay, so we're at the rate of change.
Yeah, so on this one, we were looking for low partial credit, correct setting up of the chain rule. So having dHdt equals dHdV times dVdt. You can also have low partial credit there if you've made a mistake on that, but you've gone on to substitute into your use of the chain rule correctly. So if you had dHdt in the wrong place, or dHdV, you had it as dVdH, something like that. You've made a mistake on the chain rule, but you've correctly put in correct substitutions into your chain rule, you can have low partial credit there as well.
Okay, so again it's the same idea, isn't it? That a correct substitution, even into an incorrect formula, is a step in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so low partial credit again for even for that. Okay, and where are we off next?
We're on to 9C now. So we have a
bit 9C. Okay,
so
9C. Hold on one second. I can do this in a better way, can I? Let me do this. Here we go. So question 9C, we've got to just go through. Here we go, where it's 9C already. Okay, so we're John and Mary, and yes, they're saving for the house. Okay.
Yeah. So we're also giving low partial credit here if you just have 5 by 12 equals 60. So correctly identifying the number of months from the number of years is low partial credit here for 4 marks.
Okay, so 4 marks. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the first thing. And then the second thing is also on 9C. My next thing is also on 9C. You will see on the PowerPoint there, and on the scheme, it had it to the nearest cent, but the question actually asked it for the nearest euro. Okay. So the correct answer is 36,472 there for the full credit. But the paper you had was correct, which was the correct euro. So just
Okay.
check for your rounding there.
Okay, so it's 10 marks, but it's, and actually, if they have the answer, which is on our PowerPoint, that's actually 9 marks, isn't it? Because it's an
Yeah,
incorrect rounding. Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
So
Okay,
those were all the queries on the paper. I just wanted to
okay,
talk a little bit about some things in general. So the first one we've had queries about is sign errors. If you have an error on a sign, so a good example of this on your paper is the question involving your fractions when you had functions in a fraction. Okay,
okay.
so that was question 4. So you were putting
Yes.
together 3 separate parts of a function into a single function, into a single fraction.
Yeah.
So, and there was a minus before that second fraction, which would have
Yes.
confused people. So,
Yes.
in terms of the signs, if you make one sign error and only one sign error, you would drop down 1 mark only. So you would go down to 9 marks on this question. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Generally, on whatever question it is, if it's a single sign error, you only drop down 1 mark. If it's more than a single sign error, so there's a cup, you've done it in 2 separate places, that would then move you down a credit. So if everything else was right, you drop to high partial credit. If you were at high partial credit, say, and you had 2 sign errors, that would drop you down to mid partial credit or low partial credit, whatever's the next one down on the scale. Okay, so it drops a credit if you have more than 1 sign error.
So let's just say this again. One sign error somewhere in the question here implies 1 mark lost.
Yeah.
Am I saying that correctly? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then if they have 2 or more sign errors, you're
Yeah.
losing a credit. You're going from full credit to high partial credit, or high
Yeah.
partial credit to mid partial credit, etc., etc.
That's
Okay.
it, exactly.
Okay.
So
Very good.
on this one in particular, up where you have the arrows, you have the -2 by the x, so that's -2x, and then you have -2 by -2, which is going to give you +4. If you
Yep.
had made an error on one of those only, so you'd written -2x -4, that would be 1 mark lost. But
Yeah.
if you had written +2x -4, that would be 2 sign errors, and then you drop a credit.
Okay. I imagine it's a very common mistake, isn't it, to have this guy here as a -4, because
Oh
people
yeah,
forget to be multiplying that the -2 has to multiply through both terms of the bracket.
absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Very good.
And then the last thing I want to talk to you about is the follow through marks. So if you've made a mistake on a previous part and you're following through with those marks, okay? So like an example of this might be on question 2 is quite a good one to
Okay.
explain. So follow through marks mean that you will only be penalized for a mistake in one place. So if you'd made a mistake on question 2, part A, you'd accidentally got the numbers wrong, either the 4 or the 2.31, you've got those wrong. You would be penalised in part A for that mistake. If you then go into part B and do your trapezoidal rule correctly, you would then get full marks for part B, even if your answer is wrong to the scheme. So if you don't get 11.88, but you have used your incorrect answer for part A correctly in part B, you would get full marks in part B. So you will not be penalised twice for a mistake.
Okay. Yeah, that's very clear, Andrea, and it's something I think that where the students will learn a lot from that, because they will, they might think that a mistake in part A is going to be incredibly costly to them because it feeds through the entire question in this case, but not necessarily so because of the fact that you're only going to get punished for it in one place.
Absolutely. And like to extend that even on this
Yeah.
particular question, if you had made a mistake in part A, you'd then have part B wrong, but you'll be getting full marks for it.
Yeah.
You'd then have part D wrong as well, but you can
Mhm.
still get the full marks in part D, because if you're using your incorrect answer correctly, you'll still be getting full marks. So this just backs up that you really need to keep
Yeah.
going with the questions, because
Absolutely.
a mistake doesn't mess up the rest of your question necessarily.
Yes. So in this case, so when you got to D, your approximate answer would not be what's in the scheme, but your exact answer could be, because that's coming from your integral. So your error would be different, but
Yeah,
it could be correct. And then
exactly.
your percentage error again would be different from 5.6%, but it could still get you the 5 marks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. George, I'm just thinking of one thing actually that's here actually, just one little thing. It's an interesting one. That one student, one of the emails that came into us had an ingenious way of getting k equals 1 over 16 here. So the totally different way to get k equals 1 over 16. Really impressive from a mathematical point of view. But because it gave the direct instruction to by finding the discriminant, in this case, the student only got high partial credit because he didn't follow the actual the precise direction in this case. So you got to be careful with that. And sometimes, you know, the maybe even the strongest student who can see a number of different ways of doing a question has to, this is the bit where they have to be careful to make sure they're doing it in the way that's asked. So, okay, I think we have a lot of it covered there. And I mean, let me just say one other thing that pops into my head. There could well be the student out there now looking at this who goes, oh my God, I should have got an extra 1 mark, an extra 2 mark in the paper. And now they're thinking they better go back and change their grade on in what they've inputted. There's absolutely no need to do that from our point of view. Once you fill in the survey, it's filled in. You can't actually fill it in again. The same person can't fill it in a second time. But that part, we know you did it in good faith the first time. There's no problem at all. You know that now you've gained an extra mark, and we're happy that you're going to be happy about that. Okay, Andrea, are you happy?
I am.
Very good. Okay, guys, we'll probably come back to you tomorrow, if to come back on more of these queries. But until then, well done to you. And I imagine, based on the results there, the first 300 students, we're seeing that your average has increased from your pre to the tune of 6 or 7%, and to your school-based pre. So I imagine a lot of you are very happy with that. Okay, so on that note, good luck to you. I'll see you soon.